portion of our fiscal year 24-25 service area budget work sessions. Before we start, I'll just take a moment to overview the city's fiscal environment as I do at the beginning of each of these sessions, my budget guidance, and the goal for the sessions. The city is facing unique fiscal pressures with the expiration of one-time federal support dollars, ongoing inflation, a backlog of deferred maintenance, declines in revenue streams, legal obligations, higher personnel costs, and costs related to the implementation of voter-approved charter reform. Because this budget will span both forms of government, this budget must meet the most critical needs of Portlanders while balancing fiscal constraints, and it must carry out the transition to a new form of government as approved by Portlanders. As such, my budget guidance directed all general fund programs, with the exception of Portland Fire and Rescue, Portland Police Bureau, and the Bureau of Emergency Communications, to budget within a 5% reduction in current appropriation levels. Similarly, I requested that internal service funds follow the same guidance, reducing their rates by 5% below what they would have charged with inflation. As a result, this year's budget work sessions focus on the most substantial financial issues, options, trade-offs, and decisions council will need to make within each service area to meet the constraints at hand. There are 3 more work sessions by service areas scheduled after today. On February 13th, we will focus on community and economic development. And we should probably remind people on February 13th that the next day is Valentine's Day, and if they haven't bought their flowers, they better get on it. On February 15th, we will have a shared work session by the Budget and Finance, as well as the City Operations service areas. And last but certainly not least, on February 22nd, we will focus on the City Administrator's budget and the Auditor's budget. We will host 3 public budget listening sessions for community input. We have now designated dates for that. This is new in my talking points. On Wednesday, April 10th, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. On Saturday, April 13th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then Monday, April 15th, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Community members can sign up to speak at the budget listening sessions by visiting the city budget website at www.portland.gov/CBO. Click on the fiscal year 24-25 budget events tab to find sign-up links, which will be posted 2 weeks in advance of the listening session. All work sessions and budget listening sessions are viewable on the City of Portland YouTube page. With that, I will turn this over to Commissioner Mapps to kick us off today. Commissioner Mapps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, today we will receive a budget briefing from our Public Works service area. Of course, Public Works consists of 3 bureaus. We have PBOT, we have the Bureau of Environmental Services, and we have the Water Bureau. Every Portlander interacts with our services every day. Portlanders do that when they turn on their faucets, flush their toilets, or travel to school or work. Portland's Public Works area is also on the front lines of addressing our climate crisis, promoting public health, addressing public safety, and supporting economic development. We saw the vital role that Public Works plays in the life of our city just a few weeks ago during the ice storm. Our infrastructure employees were the first responders out there during the storm, and they worked 24 hours a day until the crisis passed. Public Works employees plowed our streets, they fixed broken pipes, they repaired sewage pumps that were malfunctioning and backup systems which needed aid, and they cleared down trees. They did all of that work while dealing with difficult and dangerous weather conditions. Our Public Works staff were real heroes in that storm. In fact, our Public Works staff are real heroes every day, which is why I want to take this moment to thank our Public Works team for their service to our city. You folks inspire me every day, and it's truly an honor to work alongside you. That storm is also a reminder of how important Public Works is to the life of our city. Here's another reminder of how important Public Works is to our city. This service area accounts for roughly 1/3 of the city's employees, half of the city's budget, and 95% of the city's assets. You also need to know this. Heading into the next fiscal year, our public works bureaus face deep budget cuts. Next fiscal year, for example, water faces a $5 million shortfall. Environmental services face a $22.5 million shortfall. And PBOT faces a $32.4 million shortfall. Now, a number of forces drive these deficits, including inflation, unfunded mandates from the federal government and the state of Oregon, and policies made by this and previous councils. As the commissioner in charge of Public Works, I've directed our bureaus to develop strategies for addressing these shortfalls, which achieve three goals. Let's balance our budgets without proposing new taxes. Let's maintain current critical services to the public, and let's minimize staff layoffs. Our team at Water, Environmental Services, and PBOT have done a remarkable job of drafting budgets which achieve these goals. And here to tell us more about these budgets, we have BES Director Don Uchiyama, we have Gabe Salmer, and we have PBOT Director Millicent Williams. Welcome, and I'll turn the presentation over to you now.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I am Gabe Salmer. I'm your Portland Water Bureau Director, and I'm also your Public Works Service Lead. So I'll be moving us through the documents today and through our agenda. And I'm here with Don Uchiyama of BES and Millicent Williams of PBOT. We can move to the next slide. Just a brief overview of our agenda. We will go through a little bit more on our service area, the Public Works Service area. We will also highlight how we're working together to provide better service delivery as a service area, and then talk a little bit about our financial issues and how we are addressing revenue shortfalls. We've organized the presentation into an overview and then a walkthrough of issues that face the two water utilities, and then a section on PBOT. And I would ask if there's something that you need clarity on, please do interrupt. But if you can hold for any more substantive questions, we will have a lot of time built in for discussion after we hear from the three bureaus and then invited testimony from the Portland Utility Board and the PBOT Bureau and Budget Advisory Committee. So you can see on screen here an org chart for the Public Works Service area for the FY 24-25 budget. And you'll likely note this looks very familiar, and there's not a lot of changes to how we have been organized for many years. You still have three bureaus with the addition of a Public Works Deputy City Administrator and Administrative Support. We do have a vision for how this org chart will change and evolve, and I will get to that in just a few slides. Take the next slide. This is just a slide with a few beautiful pictures of the communities that we serve. And you can see that all three of our bureaus are committed to the same high standards, and we're focused on the safety of the community as well as the health of the built and natural environments in which we operate. We can move to the next slide. And I'll start with the utilities in terms of key financial issues. Both utilities received the same budget guidance. As primarily rate-driven bureaus, we've been asked to stay at our forecast of 7.9% increase for water and a 5.15% increase for BES. Combined, that's an increase of 6.24%. And then the direction that we received from the budget memos are to continue to minimize rate impacts and to meet system reliability, regulatory compliance, and financial sustainability. And also, we've been directed to use our existing resources on the highest priority needs. We can move to the next one. PBOT also received specific budget memo guidance. I won't read everything on the screen here, but PBOT is to account for their projected budget deficit, to provide options and trade-offs for how to address those deficits, and then specifically to look at funding from the Portland Clean Energy Fund, PCEF, and other revenues to close that gap. I thought it might be useful to look at our service area in context of the rest of the city. Commissioner Mapp spoke to this as well, but the Public Works service area includes 3 of the largest bureaus in the city, comprising about half of the city's entire budget, a third of our positions, and 95% of the assets. So it is a large service area and a lot of diverse pieces included there. We can move to the next one. And then in terms of the 23-24 adopted budget, when we look a little closer, we can see that PBOT has the largest number of employees in our service area and the smallest operating capital budgets. The operating budget for all of our bureaus and the respective funds includes transfers between funds, and we'll be looking at those operating budget details a little later in the presentation. Move to the next one. So the chart here shows just sort of the combined scale of the Public Works Bureau funding. It also illustrates graphically the sort of main separate funding sources for the bureaus and then those restricted uses for those resources. So this is what we call sort of the color of money issue. And that challenge that water funds can only be spent on water infrastructure and projects, just as federal transportation funding and then sewer and stormwater funding are restricted to those functions. So unfortunately, saving $1 in any one of those specific categories doesn't produce $1 that can be used in any of the others or in the general fund. So something to keep in mind as we get to some of the budget solutions that we have come up with.
Would you mind elaborating on intra-city transfers under transportation?
I think I'll let.
Or you can do it at the end. Either way, I'm
Sure.
curious. Thanks.
Is there a short answer that we can do, like 30 seconds?
Sure, there are a
That's
number
all I
of
need.
services across all of the bureaus that work in partnership with the Bureau of Transportation that we pay for the services. So, for example, urban forestry. There is an agreement that we have in place with them that when they support us clearing the right-of-way so that people can use roads, especially after a storm, we pay them to help us.
But these are revenues. So can you give me an example of a revenue?
From other bureaus?
Yeah, is that what it means? Maybe I'm just
These
wrong
aren't-
on that.
These aren't.
I don't need to know now, but maybe at the end of the presentation, if somebody could.
Yeah, we
Tim
can do
looks
it.
like he-
We can do it when PBOT's.
Okay, perfect.
Or
You can
now?
come back. It's
Okay.
it's not a burning question, but I'm just curious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll make sure that we get to that in the PBOT conversation. For now, I'll move to the next slide. So I mentioned that our org chart looks very similar to what you have been used to seeing with the 3 bureaus. We certainly recognize the opportunity for improvements to service delivery with the transition to being all in a service area. And during our joint budget development and last summer's transition process, we identified the types of work, the kinds of things that present the greatest opportunities for improvement through the service area lens. So you can see coordination and cross-training on a number of issues that the bureaus all have in common, as well as service area policy and standard setting that would increase the efficiency and coordination of work within our service area. So we certainly see sort of the host of benefits that would come with this approach for communities, employees, customers, and ratepayers. We have also been students of what has come before, so we've learned from the work of the Community Safety Division that it will take time for us to implement, probably multiple years for us to implement this, but we can set the course now for what needs to be achieved. And I also want to just mention those challenges. We talked about the restricted funding sources. I would also mention, just in terms of those challenges, just the specialty of work. We have many things that we do in common, but we have infrastructure and work that we do that is unique to each bureau. I also just want to caution the council that the workload needs only continue to increase. So what I would posit with my crystal ball is that the efficiency gains from being in the service area are likely to be maybe not a straight line. We will see maybe a little bit more of a rocky road in terms of our learning and our transition. And as we join together, I think what we will see are the benefits that shared expertise, better service delivery, and more employee engagement. We may not see those efficiencies until later in the process. We can move to the next slide. In terms of cost drivers for this service area, probably no surprise, very similar to all of the service areas, that costs are a major challenge for us. Project construction, labor, materials costs, those have all been increasing well beyond the rate of inflation, as well as the availability of construction and design firms for our capital work that's at a premium, and seeing steep increases in project bids. Again, no surprise here. We have the utilities in particular are required to enact programs and to build and operate hundreds of millions of dollars of infrastructure to meet public health and safety regulations. Those costs have all gone up. And PBOT has enormous multimodal systems that are essential to the local economy and quality of life, that keep us safe and fit into community spaces. Our public works systems are all aging, as we are all, and increasing in expense. And so the cost to keep these essential services functioning is a given, and what we don't pay today just continues to grow so that we pay more tomorrow. So given that, I wanted to just start with some assumptions for the service area and for the information and the budget reductions that you'll hear about in just a moment. We like to joke that we budget 14 months out of the year, and actually that has now become true. It used to just be a joke. Now it really is true that we budget in an ongoing way because we have very large, very complicated budgets, and we have to develop our operating budgets in response to our capital needs and our asset maintenance responsibilities. And to build out those budgets, we have to make certain assumptions about many variables, as do all service areas, in terms of what will be available. So these are some of the assumptions that we're starting with, and in our discussion phase, we would love to know more from this council as to whether these are reasonable assumptions to be making as we put the finishing touches on our budget. You can see a 7.9 and a 5.15 rate increase for water and BES respectively. We are assuming no growth in parking or state highway fund revenues on the PBOT side. Our assumption also is that charter transition costs remain limited and sort of at the levels that we have seen and been discussing. The same for general fund interagency agreements, that those remain near those 23-24 levels. And those have started to come in, so that is very appreciated to not have those be a surprise. We're also looking at other fees and charges not being at full recovery. We certainly understand the economic environment and moment that we're in. But because those SDCs were frozen for last year, we want to make sure that at least in this year, we are looking at a 5% increase. Again, that would not be full cost recovery, but it would put us on a pathway to make the other changes if we assume that. And then the PCEF funding that we will talk about in a moment, that is allocated as is currently proposed. So those are the assumptions that we're making, and we'd love to discuss more whether those are the right assumptions to make. So I just mentioned PCEF, the Portland Clean Energy Fund, and those investments. We will talk a little bit more in each of our individual presentations about what that money and those proposed allocations look like. But I just wanted to show a quick view of that. We think that this PCEF funding will be an essential tool to reduce service cuts and general fund demands for our service area. And we're certainly appreciative of the opportunity to match the important climate and community work that our service area does to this funding source. We think that there is a very good connection there. I also just want to mention, because the Bureau of Hydroelectric Power doesn't get a lot of airtime, that the general fund benefits that the PCEF awards to the Portland Hydro Project, those awards should eliminate the risk of any general fund support needs through our FERC relicensing process. So we've talked a little bit about that. There is investment by both the general fund and on the water side, and this will help on the general fund side. And again, we'll get into a little bit more detail about how these funds will be used by the different bureaus in just a moment. And then as I wind up and turn it over to Don, what I just wanted to show is what the commissioner mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the initial shortfall for each of the bureaus in the service area. And this includes the budget reductions that we need to make for the lower rate increase that corresponds for both water and BES from last year. And they do not, I do want to just mention that these shortfall numbers do not yet take into consideration the mitigations and cuts that we are proposing. We'll go through those in just a moment for each bureau. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dawn to start us on the utilities portion.
Great, thank you, Gabe. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, I'm Dawn Uchiyama, the Director of the Bureau of Environmental Services, the wastewater and stormwater utility for the City of Portland. I have 3 slides that will reference both utilities, water and BES, and then I have a few slides that will speak specifically to the unique conditions of the BES budget. I want to start, you can go to the next slide. I want to start by emphasizing that both utilities are regulated to the high standards of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency holds us to, and that we hold ourselves to. Our work is in response to the regulatory requirements we have to ensure water, wastewater, and stormwater services are provided to customers 24/7. This means that clean water continues to flow into business and homes, the possibility of basement sewer backups to homes and businesses is reduced, and rainwater is managed so it doesn't flood our streets, homes, and businesses and negatively impact our rivers and streams. We aim to do this with no to minimal service disruptions. So this slide shows the breakdown of fiscal year 2023 and 2024 adopted budget for each utility. As shown in the light green and light blue, both utilities have large capital programs, roughly $311 million for BES and $290 million for water. Our capital programs support not only ongoing investments, such as upgrading our aging pipes and pump stations, they also support major efforts like the filtration project for water and the secondary treatment expansion project for BES. Supporting the capital programs in medium green and medium blue is the debt service both utilities pay to support prior capital investments, $164 million for BES and roughly $76 million for water. The remaining blue and green sections reflect other non-discretionary items like the utility license fee, general fund overhead, and interagency agreements, totaling close to $92 million for BES and $49 million for water. Although both utilities have sizable budgets, the remaining expenses shown in orange reflect the personnel and material services portion of our budget. These are the only areas where we can make reductions. Next slide. As the utilities analyzed how to make budget reductions in these limited areas, we intentionally took the shared approach to first find any possible reductions to materials and services, which could include contract support, repair and maintenance supplies, and other costs. And with the personnel services, we aim to eliminate only vacant positions to avoid employee layoffs. In all cases, we chose areas that would minimize or delay impacts to our community, particularly vulnerable or our low-income customers. Next slide. So utilities are in the 100-year business, but this does not mean that our assets last 100 years. The assets we design, build, and maintain are for the most part meant to provide services somewhere between 50 and 100 years. We must look at our system as a set of risks and investment priorities on a 100-year planning horizon. This means that the decisions we make each annual budget cycle have real implications for Portlanders cumulatively far into the future. With a focus on our long-term priorities, we have to make hard decisions today. Fundamentally, this helps minimize or avoid emergency projects, which are always costlier and more complicated to deal with. It also ensures we continue to provide the reliable services our community needs and expects every day. So now I want to turn your attention to BES. We have 2 distinct business lines, wastewater and stormwater. Although there are many nuances to the classification of our assets, they are sometimes commonly referred to as gray infrastructure and green infrastructure. The regulations and best practices for wastewater treatment emerged in the 1950s, and the regulations and best practices for stormwater emerged in the 1990s. Both are in response to complex federal, state, and local regulatory frameworks that protect public health and water quality. Many of our sewers were built at the turn of the 20th century. Our Columbia Boulevard wastewater treatment plant was built in the 1950s, and the Tryon Creek wastewater treatment plant was built in the 60s. And almost all of our pump stations, our 100 pump stations, were built shortly after that. And for the most part, our stormwater system evolved alongside Portland's transportation network. For many decades, we were very fortunate that our funding levels generally met our system needs for both gray and green infrastructure. But today I want to call your attention to the fact that in recent years, there's been a marked change. As we can now more accurately assess the condition and risks associated with our aging wastewater system, and our stormwater system obligations tie us to larger environmental issues and community interest. These changing conditions now have our two distinct responsibilities, often competing for limited resources. So to address these challenges and many others, BES completed its first 10-year employee-led strategic plan in 2018. And in 2019, right before COVID hit, we reorganized our entire bureau, all 700 employees, and all of our programs, into a structure that reflects our biggest business processes, operations and maintenance, and capital project delivery. We also took a bold step to clearly identify our most urgent needs by taking a risk-based portfolio management approach to our investment priorities. I will note here that if you took a look at our organizational structure today, you will see that instead of a standalone watershed group where most of our natural resource work was housed, we deliberately integrated those resources across the work we do. We know that our community looks to us as leaders in environmental stewardship, and we stand strong in that commitment, regardless of how we're structured. Another point about our workforce is that with COVID, almost half of our employees began working from home, and half stayed on site through the entire pandemic, contributing to our deep appreciation and understanding for the role of essential employees who work year-round, around the clock, and in person. This situation, alongside our bureau-wide reorganization, revealed significant disparities between employees' working conditions and the state of our assets along our two business lines. So now we can clearly quantify our wastewater business line, especially our wastewater treatment and pumping, and that it carries many risks of failures due to age and overdue upgrades. From a risk management perspective, we are actively and intensely shifting resources and scaling back work that is at lower risk of failure, including some of our environmental restoration work, in order to better balance the many serious risks we face. So as a result of this shift, our current priorities include protecting the safety and the security of our employees and our assets, replacing and repairing our wastewater treatment and pumping assets, and strengthening our core internal business services to support operations and maintenance and our capital improvement projects. We must focus on these priorities while continuing to meet federal and state requirements to protect public health and the environment while preparing for the integration into the Public Works Service Area. In the meantime, we know that every Portland resident, visitor, and business depends on our services every hour of every day. As Gabe said, reliability is really the cornerstone of our essential service. So this next slide describes our cost pressures, some of which are more current and predictable, while others are more distant and outside of our control. We know that we still have staffing shortages at the treatment plant, and we are addressing those now by aligning our workforce to shore up those critical needs. Specifically, we recently assigned 9 vacancies from across the Bureau to our treatment plant to help address this issue. This is the second time that I've done this, including 2 group managers. Inflation is another factor. Increasing the cost of replacing aging infrastructure creates a greater gap between our capital funding needs and the revenues we have to support them. We also have large anticipated costs that come with some uncertainty. These include the replacement of the Tryon Creek wastewater treatment plant, environmental remediation work, and the costs associated with the new urban flood safety water quality district, which relates to the levee system in Portland, among others. So there are also anticipated and unanticipated and less predictable costs, such as costs associated with our single permitting authority, interagency increases, and city transition. Our ultimate goal is to keep rates of increase low, stable, and predictable. To do so, we must build all of these costs into our rate profile now, or we will face rate spikes in the future far above what we are proposing today. Next slide. So next I'd like to address the Portland Clean Energy Fund investments for BES, proposed for BES. We understand that PCEF is considering awarding BES more than $15 million annually for the next 5 years to support the city's climate investment goals. This funding is critical to enable the continuation of our green infrastructure work that is so cherished by our community. And it will allow us to deliver the natural resource service delivery work plan as discussed in our work session last Thursday. Next slide. So this is my last slide, and it summarizes how BES plans to address our budget shortfall. With our urgent needs identified, including our proposed 5.15 rate increase, BES forecasted a $22.5 million deficit as we began to prepare for fiscal year 2425. To address the deficit early, we began with a $5 million reduction in the 2023-24 fall budget monitoring process, knowing deeper cuts would still be necessary. From our portfolio management analysis, we identified areas of lower risk and began to consider reductions related to our green infrastructure work while still preserving regulatory compliance. When the PCEF application process opened, we quickly looked to that funding to support the work we feared we were going to have to eliminate. With PCEF funding, we now expect that we can reduce our projected shortfall to about $2 million. We plan to address this remaining shortfall by additional repurposing or elimination of vacant positions and making additional material and services reductions. So to end on a note of optimism for the future, we believe that a 5.15 rate increase and the PCEF funding for 5 years will put us on stable financial ground. Having PCEF funding to support our critically important carbon sequestration, climate resiliency, and community partnership work will allow BES to focus on the high-risk wastewater treatment and pumping, while allowing us to thoughtfully strengthen and grow the good work of a natural resources service delivery team in the broader context of city recovery and our pressing climate agenda. And finally, although we might not be there yet, we do see plenty of opportunities for efficiencies as we transition to our new form of government. Some will translate into a higher level of service, some will be cost savings that can be used to support core services, but we very much look forward to continuing our outstanding working relationship with both PBOT and Water, and to continue to the Portland's new Public Works service area. So thank you for your time and attention this afternoon, and Gabe, I'll turn it back over to you to provide more specifics on Water's budget.
Thank you, Don. All right, I could say ditto to everything that you heard about BES because it's a very similar story, but I'll give you just a little bit more detail and some context for the Water Bureau. In terms of our priorities, again, very similar to BES. I will say that we are undertaking the largest ever city capital project with the Bull Run Filtration and Pipeline Project. And we are making significant investment in the resilience of our drinking water system to a wide variety of risks, everything from earthquake to fire to floods, landslides, new contaminants. We are under a compliance agreement to complete the facility by September of 2027. And we've secured federally backed financing through EPA's WIFIA program to reduce long-term impacts, but there will still be sustained pressure on rates for several years to come. And then even as we work to complete the filtration project, we continue to prioritize our core work to maintain water service to customers, both during emergencies such as we faced over the last few months with the Camp Creek fire in the watershed and last month's ice storm, and obviously also over the long term with projects that adapt to and address climate change. We also continue to innovate in providing financial assistance to our customers in need, most recently launching a new smart discount program that you heard about just yesterday, that we anticipate increasing the number of customers that receive assistance while making it far easier for them to qualify and to enroll in the program. And then most directly, in terms of our priorities, we continue to meet and exceed our regulatory and public health requirements for water quality through treatment improvements, education, and monitoring. Again, very similar cost pressures to our sister bureau at BES, with both of our goals being to keep rate increases low, stable, and predictable. And to do that, we really need to build all of those costs into our rate profile now, or we'll face rate spikes in the future far above what we're proposing. And in addition to the cost pressures of building the city's largest capital project, as I just mentioned, we also need to address the lower than forecasted rates from this and last year, as well as our portion of the costs of the city transition process. I'll leave that there and talk a little bit about some good news, which is PCEF funding and what has been proposed to be allocated for water and hydroelectric power will be an essential tool for reducing service cuts and general fund demands from our service area. You will see that we will be able to add energy efficiency projects like an energy performance contract, a heat pump, and additional controls of our operations, as well as micro hydro and solar expansion, and our portion of electric vehicle chargers. So very exciting on the water side. And then, as we mentioned, the general fund benefits from any PCEF awards to the Portland Hydro Project by eliminating the risk of general fund support that could be needed through the FERC relicensing process. And then we can move to the next one. So similar to how Don went through our strategies, as requested in the budget memos, we've developed some options to balance the budget to absorb those costs. We've developed a list of budget reductions up to $5 million that would allow us to achieve the 7.9% rate increase and be prepared to absorb the city transition and other general fund costs. So you can see on the left-hand side under that arrow that our reduction options include approximately $1 million in cuts to external materials and services, as well as space reduction, and about 15 to 18 vacant positions that we would eliminate. Obviously, we can't do that without causing some pain, and the impacts to our operations in doing that would include limited budget flexibility, obviously, for things that are unforeseen and unanticipated, as BES mentioned. So things like the Camp Creek fire and the ice storm that we just had. It would also mean eliminating 8 field training positions, which would reduce our ability to increase workplace and workforce diversity. It's also going to affect productivity, and these are longer-term system impacts. So they're not things that we can't weather. We understand that the budget situation is what it is, but we want to mention that this is something we can do for a year. It's not something that we can do long-term. A second scenario, if we didn't want to face all of those operational impacts, would be to secure additional PCEF funding, and I want to be clear that this is funding that has not been proposed to be allocated, that would support our existing water efficiency program and offset up to $1.1 million in rate dollars. So in that scenario, we would still need to make up $4 million in budget reductions, but we would be able to cut fewer vacant positions. Another additional scenario would be to seek other funding or fee reductions. So we could look at reducing credit card fees by encouraging commercial customers to make their payments via ACH, which has a lower processing fee compared to credit card transactions. We're also looking at implementing a surcharge fee for commercial customers that offset the processing fees that we pay, or setting a maximum amount for commercial customer credit card payments, how much they could pay by credit card per billing cycle. We're looking at all of those policies. Some of them will take some time to implement. We don't want to surprise anyone with those. So we are conservatively estimating that for the next fiscal year, we could reduce the credit card fee that we pay by 300,000. I think there's more there, but again, we would want to take our time and develop a policy before rushing into that. I will also mention that one other option would be to transfer the expense of decorative fountain maintenance to the general fund out of the water fund. That would save the water fund about $0.9 million. And I think I will end there so you can see the range of options that we have to reduce that funding gap. This is a graph that you have all seen before. It shows the historical and projected rates of increase for both water and BES. Water is at the top, BES on the bottom, and then the combined rate increase in the middle line. So both bureaus have substantial capital programs that rely on borrowing to spread the costs over time. However, relying solely on debt to fund capital isn't sustainable, so we leverage that debt with cash expenditures for capital investments. And then we forecast capital and operating expenditures over a long-term horizon and use those predictions to balance cash with our borrowing. For water, about a third of the rate increase is necessary to fund our federally mandated project, the filtration plant and pipelines. Another third for ongoing investments to the water system, to our infrastructure, and then about a third for general cost increases for labor and materials. And then for BES, the projected rates are not only paying for current levels of service, but when combined with the reductions made now and support from PCEF, put the Bureau on better financial footing to manage through those anticipated but large unknown costs that Don mentioned previously. And then I'll move on just to finish from the utility portion. So just to close out, we've stated previously that we believe that 6.24 combined rate increase for next year, with that will be necessary for long-term stability and to be on stable financial footing. And then having the PCEF funding will support our climate resiliency work and make us able to focus on the core services that we need to. And then, as Don said, even though we have not made a lot of those consolidation changes within our service area, we do see the benefits that we are that we'll achieve as we merge into a public works service area and go through the city transition. I will turn it over to Nelson.
Just doing a time check, did you want to pause for questions for BES and water before moving on to transportation? We can keep going. Just wanted to
I
check.
think if council is okay, we'll move forward. We do have invited testimony that has a time commitment. So if we can go through the presentation from transportation, and then we'll get all of your questions.
Sounds good. All right, thank you, Directors Solmer and Uchiyama. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Millicent Williams, and I'm the Director of the Portland Bureau of Transportation. You can go to the next slide. This slide provides the breakdown of the fiscal year 23-24 adopted budget. PBOT's budget for this current fiscal year is $509.2 million, and we manage $19 billion in assets. About 75% of PBOT's funding comes from restricted sources. These funds these are funds that must be dedicated to specific programs and services such as federal grants for specific projects, permit revenues, and TSDCs that cannot be used for other purposes. And to answer your question, Mayor, the revenues that you inquired about earlier comes from BES, we support their maintenance work on an annual basis, and we also receive funding to support our ramp work, the ADA ramp work that we must do, as well as the streetlight funding that we currently receive.
Would those be characterized as reimbursements?
Jeremy, how would they be characterized?
Billings for services.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. You can go to the next slide. PBOT's current forecast is nearly the same as the forecast we communicated to you during the September work session on PBOT's budget. But we have some positive updates for you today. Since the last forecast, we've been able to identify new funding opportunities to mitigate the losses we continue to experience from decreased state highway funding and parking revenues, which I'll explain later in this presentation. Nevertheless, our current forecast includes a shortfall of $32.4 million per year. This slide summarizes the necessary reductions and position impacts across PBOT and reflects the programmatic cuts we discussed with you in detail last September. As you recall, our forecast was very grim as we faced a $32.4 million shortfall and the possibility of laying off 118 FTEs. The Bureau would not have been the same, nor would it have been able to deliver on the most basic services, things that Portlanders expect and deserve to see in their transportation bureau. You can go to the next slide. To prevent the program reductions included in the previous slide, we've been working hard over the last 5 months to identify other funding solutions to backfill the potential shortfall. These opportunities include increased parking enforcement activities, fixing our streets 24-28 investments if the measure passes, indexing current revenue streams such as Portland's parking rates to inflation, and PCEF investments in our climate-focused work to help us address the 40% of carbon emissions in Portland that come from the transportation sector. The next few slides will go into more detail about each of these opportunities. We're pleased to be able to share information about how the PCEF investment will be used. Portland Clean Energy Fund investments will be directed towards PBOT's existing climate-related programming, allowing us to maintain and enhance the efforts that align with the fund's goals. This 5-year investment includes $30 million for streetcar vehicle replacement, our city-operated transit service that is run 100% on green energy, $37 million for street lighting infill and replacement using energy-efficient LEDs, and $70 million for active transportation capital investments, clean transportation alternatives, and community programming such as the popular Transportation Wallet program that provides passes and credits for Portlanders on low income for transit, bike share, e-scooters, and rideshare, making low-carbon transportation options affordable and accessible. All of the projects and programs identified were filtered through PBOT's equity matrix to determine how we would be able to make the most supportive investments in traditionally underserved communities. From these investments, PBOT can continue to fund $8 million per year of climate programming of at-risk programs, while also investing $7.9 million in enhanced or new programming. These investments also free up $7.4 million of annual general fund resources previously allocated to street lighting infill and replacement. Can we skip to the next slide, and then I want to go back to that one because it is really more of a request than a statement of where we are. Thank you. Not only has PBOT been looking for new resources to support the Bureau, but we're also looking to efficiently collect the resources we are already owed. Based on recent data provided by the Department of Motor Vehicles, out of the 1 million previously registered vehicles in the city of Portland, there are an estimated 460,000 that are eligible for renewal. The loss of revenues from these delinquent registrations not only impacts PBOT, but also Multnomah County, the Oregon Department of Transportation, the Department of Environmental Quality, and the Department of Motor Vehicles. PBOT will start an outreach campaign to encourage Portland residents to register their vehicles and is hiring 6 parking enforcement officers, positions that are currently slated for reduction, to begin patrolling neighborhoods to write citations for past due registrations. We expect revenues from this effort will net about $1 million per year, which will be reinvested back into parking programs at risk of reduction. Next slide. In addition to enforcing vehicle registrations, the Bureau is also looking to increase its efforts to collect parking meter revenues. Recent studies show that only about 50% of users are paying the required parking fees. With an investment of 22 new parking enforcement officers, the Bureau will be able to patrol all parking districts on a daily basis. We estimate that this increased enforcement will increase compliance rates by about 5% per year, bringing total compliance to approximately 75% within the next 5 years. Beyond the increased compliance, having additional parking enforcement officers on the ground provides an additional set of trained eyes and ears for situations that arise on our streets. Our parking enforcement team regularly goes above and beyond to help out Portlanders in the right-of-way, whether it's helping a person with a disability cross the street, making calls to 911 in an emergency, or reporting and responding to other livability issues that they may encounter during their work. Expected revenues from this effort will net an average of $3.8 million per year over the next 5 years. These resources can be invested in at-risk programs such as homeless camp cleanup, funding for partner projects with our public works partners to install ADA ramps and provide better paving options, landslide repairs, structures maintenance, and response efforts for calls for improvement that come through the 823 Safe Traffic Safety and Livability Hotline. Next slide. The 10-cent local fuels tax is up for a public vote in May of this year. If the fuels tax passes, along with the implementation of the heavy vehicle use tax, the projected revenues collected from these taxes would total $20.4 million per year. Of this amount, PBOT is proposing to invest $7 million into existing programs that are at risk for reduction. These programs include maintenance of our roads and signals and implementation of various safety improvements. You can go to the next slide. Our final effort, or not final, but yes, our final one that we can propose to mitigate reductions requires your support. Neither state highway fund revenues nor parking meter revenues, transportation's two primary funding sources, are currently indexed to inflation. PBOT and Portland don't have authority over state highway fund revenues, of course, but council does have authority over our parking meter rates. As compared to our partner public works utility bureaus, we're an anomaly in that we don't increase our rates on a yearly basis to keep up with inflation. By increasing the current parking rate by 20 cents per hour in all districts to make up for previous years' lost inflation and indexing future rates to inflation, about 8 cents per hour per year, the Bureau could generate about $3 million per year for reinvestment of at-risk programs. These funds would go a long way in supporting our pavement maintenance work, snow and ice response, and maintenance and operations of the system that collects these revenues. The funds will also allow us to continue to subsidize permit fees for neighborhood block parties and other community events, a priority that was made clear by council during last year's budget discussions. And now if you could go back to the slide 3 slides ago. That one, thank you. The $7.4 million investment from PCEF for LED street lighting frees up general fund resources. Let me repeat that. The $7.4 million in investments from the PCEF fund provided for LED streetlights frees up general fund resources. We are proposing reinvesting those general fund resources in several ways based on the feedback we've heard from you, commissioners, Mayor Wheeler, as well as through the surveying and conversations we've had with the community. We propose that we bring back residential street sweeping and increase the frequency of sweeping on all routes. This directly addresses maintenance, livability, and safety concerns. We will restore reductions to graffiti abatement and green space management, and we would implement safety improvements across the city, including traffic calming improvements using a variety of tools such as speed bumps and raised crosswalks, rest on red technology that turns traffic signals red when they sense a driver is going over the speed limit along a corridor, clearing the corners by implementing no parking setbacks near intersections for better visibility for all travelers, and hardening or replacing temporary materials used to separate travel modes to create the opportunity for easier maintenance. As I've shared with you, we've been working hard to find new resources to mitigate our ongoing shortfall. None of our balancing efforts include one-time resources that we would need to readdress next year. We still need to wait to hear finalized recommendations from you, this council, regarding the PCEF allocation. We'll also need your support to reinvest the general funds freed up by PCEF back to PBOT and index parking meter rates to inflation. Finally, $7 million that would come from the Fixing Our Streets 24-28 measure is something that I, as a city employee, need to be very careful about how I discuss. I cannot advocate for or against the measure as a city employee because it has been referred to the ballot. However, if the measure passes, it would provide $7 million toward maintenance of our roads and signals and implementation of various safety improvements. If the measure doesn't pass under our current plan, these investments would not be covered. If all of our proposed efforts are approved, PBOT would be left with a shortfall. Why can I not talk today? If all of our proposed efforts are approved, PBOT would be left with a shortfall of $4.6 million and 4 positions.
Director, can I ask just one quick question, just to make sure I understood? So the prior slide was a reallocation of existing general fund resource, so it's budget neutral. Was that, your
That's
point there.
what we're proposing.
Got it. Okay, and if you need a head nod, I'm enthusiastically nodding my head.
Very good. That's
Okay,
very
great.
exciting.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure that the gallery back at home is cheering.
Good.
So what's left? The remaining reduction, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong. So what's left? The remaining reductions are a mix of programmatic cuts and efficiencies gained through taking a hard look at our current spending. Regarding efficiencies gained, we are consolidating our space and moving all staff from the 6th and Main building and some staff from the 1900 building to the Portland building. We are identifying approximately $1 million in savings by turning in underutilized fleet vehicles. We're ensuring that our partnership with the Bureau of Environmental Services is allocating costs appropriately, and we're collecting fee revenue at full cost recovery for the outdoor dining program. Reductions that will impact service delivery include a position to address climate and equitable mobility issues, a pavement rater position that supports data collection on the health of our streets, a position assigned to maintenance of our structures, parking programs and outreach funding for the evaluation of new parking districts and other parking policy work, new mobility, area planning, and freight priority work, an electrical inspector position within signals and streetlights maintenance, and loss of revenues for future equipment replacement. So what's the bottom line for Public Works? Speaking for our entire service area, this is the bottom line. Key services can be maintained next year through budget cuts if utilities receive planned rate increases, as has been discussed. Preliminary PCEF funding is realized, as we are hopeful. Charter transition costs remain limited. General fund IAs remain at or near current levels, and other fees, charges, and SDCs are allowed to increase by 5%.
And is that the end of our formal presentation?
Formal presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, directors. That was extremely informative. Colleagues, we also have we could either do questions now, but I think we also have some testimony from stakeholders, including the Portland Utility Board, and we also have PBOT's Budget Advisory, folks from PBOT's Budget Advisory Committee.
Let's go ahead and let them do that because I'm sure they have other lives.
Yeah, they've been very patient today. So, colleagues, I am delighted to take this opportunity to invite up Robin Castro, Chair of the Portland Utility Board, and we also have Mariah Hudson, Chair of PBOT's Budget Advisory Committee. Welcome, and please come on up.
Hello. Thanks for being here.
And at least my render show says, we might start with Mariah. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity today to speak to you, councilors and mayor. On behalf of our Budget Advisory Committee, we've been monitoring the budget process closely this past year. And I will say, just to begin, we are pleased that the PCEF funds have been, some PCEF funds have been identified to mitigate some of the proposed budget cuts. Nevertheless, our committee is quite concerned with the potential service cuts and also with the long-term maintenance concerns that are unable to be addressed with the current budget levels in the city of Portland here. I want to note, as a committee, we represent all sorts of modes of transportation and interests, from cyclists to drivers and, of course, pedestrians. And we feel the impacts of service cuts in these areas, or simply under maintenance, when we walk, roll, drive our streets. And particularly, I want to note that with pavement, it impacts most our pedestrians and the safety of our cyclists and other users. So we encourage the council to support a budget that maintains current levels of funding. I know that hasn't been discussed yet here. We are still looking at a $4.6 million budget cut to PBOT this year. But we would ask that you prioritize that, both because it is much more expensive to maintain the infrastructure in the long term without, things like sealants, repair of potholes, and so forth that maintain our assets. We have recommended, and we haven't given you a formal letter yet here, that parking rates are increased to reflect both inflation and just the comeback of downtown. So I would say those are our current recommendations at this point, and we ask that you fund PBOT.
Thank you very much. And we also have Robin Castro, Chair of PUB. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, elected leaders of Portland. My name is Robin Castro. I am the current Portland Utility Board Chair, and I'm here to highlight some of the board's priorities as they relate to the utilities budgets and future rates. Through our years of experience advising the the bureaus, it has become apparent that input is needed earlier and throughout the budgetary process for it to be actionable. The board has provided values-based input earlier to bureau leadership for consideration in budget development, and equity remains the primary value and focus for the board, particularly as we consider internal workforce and external community impacts. The board elevates and prioritizes transparency and inclusive public engagement, proactive maintenance of infrastructure and steadfast investment in regulatory compliance, protection of public health and watershed health, ensuring climate resiliency, as well as financial assistance programs for low-income multifamily residents who are not direct customers of the utilities. We would like to say we appreciate the alignment of the Utility Bureau's priorities and their attempts to be responsive to PUB's values. However, it is increasingly challenging to achieve alignment with priorities given historic decision-making and current austerity guidance provided by the mayor. The utilities face unanticipated cost pressures due to another year of lower than projected increases, additional costs for charter transition, and the unknown future liabilities caused by deferred maintenance. With the significant budget shortfall projected, the PUB supports priorities the bureaus have shared regarding their approach to reductions. And in supporting and sustaining a healthy workforce environment always remains a priority for PUB, and so any position reductions must also proceed with addressing resulting workload impacts and pay implications. The PUB appreciates the potential short-term solution PCEF investments are providing for some important programs, but we need to ensure that these funds are being used appropriately since they are not intended to subsidize budget deficits and could establish an expectation for services without reliable ongoing resources. The PUB is concerned that the depth of the reductions requires an unnecessary compromise, may unnecessarily compromise the forward progress of the bureaus. We believe some of the framing provided by the mayor's budget guidance is inconsistent with the needs of the community. The PUB finds problematic the premise that high taxation is leading to migration from Portland and how that stated viewpoint leads to a proposed limit on fees and rate increases necessary to provide clean drinking water and flushing toilets for Portlanders. We would like to note that the 2022 Portland Insights survey found that housing affordability, as well as proximity to work and family, as the primary reasons for migration from Portland. And as providers of essential services central to protecting public health, ensuring equitable access to water, sewer, stormwater, and natural resources is critical to public safety. It is inappropriate for the mayor to limit our budget increases for services impacting public safety while not limiting other public safety bureaus such as the Portland Police Bureau. We request that in naming high inflation as a reason for cost increases, that the council effectively calls out the corporate greed causing skyrocketing inflation and the private utility companies for jacking up prices, which is negatively impacting Portlanders twofold through first through their energy bills and secondarily through water bills due to the utility bureau's need to energize their pump stations. The bureaus have been fiscally prudent in their five-year financial plans, but when the council has approved rates lower than requested, that has lasting impacts on our future projections and the ability to maintain, without compromising, services and infrastructure. We must balance affordable and accessible water services for community members today with the investments of long-term system resiliency. And we recognize reduction choices are limited and all seem to risk backsliding instead of forward progress, pushing the burden onto future generations. And so increased rates are warranted when funding projects will reduce the long-term costs. Unfortunately, this means recent priority equity initiatives are at risk. Some vacancies that may need to be eliminated include all of the positions that PUB advocated for in support of just last year, supporting the rate increase to fund them. And the loss of these 8 trainee positions will negatively impact the progress of the Water Bureau had hoped to make to further diversify their workforce, and once again leaves diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives on the chopping block. The PUB has recently shared feedback regarding the natural resources service areas. So I just wanted to highlight that the PUB does view the realignment of the natural resources as a unique opportunity to do better, elevating this important work central to the city's climate resilience plan. And done right, it has the potential to increase efficiency and effectiveness and to allow Portland to regain cutting edge in terms of environmental protections. The PUB will continue to engage on a deeper level with the long-term work to build a cohesive natural resource strategy in support of the process with risks fully explored and addressed. And in closing, PUB is here as community members brought together with a shared interest of making Portland a better place to live. We recognize that to make that happen requires investments and reasonable rate increases. Failure to fund timely repairs and investments today does compromise the ability to continue to provide services and will have a greater negative impact on rates in future years. I want to thank you all for your time today, and I'm available to answer any questions, and I look forward to any future opportunities to engage with you in the budget process.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor, I believe that ends our formal presentation. If we have any questions for our community stakeholders, we could do that now. I think we were also, well, we're kind of early. We were going to suggest a break at some point, but we're only an hour in. I'll let you just drive the bus now.
I'm not going to take the bait. Any other questions?
I want to, thank the PUB and thank the Budget Advisory Committee for engaging in our budget issues here. Your feedback is incredibly important. You've made me and our team so much smarter, and I really appreciate you taking time to come and share your views today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, I believe this is the point in the program where if we have any broad questions for the directors or me, we would pose those. Sure.
So this is more of a comment, really, but I just wanted to say first, I really appreciate the presentation and the way that you did it. It was very clear to me. It pre-answered some of my questions, and it just and the visuals were very helpful as well. That said, I'm really curious about the process with joint budgeting. I'm just curious about learning from that too, just as we're embarking on this transition. What was that like to work on, collaboratively on that? And then also any feedback for us with the work with PCEF and how that went as well.
Maybe I'll take the first part of that.
Sure.
Well, I don't know that a budget process can be called a delight. That might be too strong, but working with my colleagues really has been such a pleasure. This is a team, and you see the three of us, but we are very ably backed up by finance and equity and communication professionals and the commissioner's office. And I just think that it was a process where we learned a lot about each other. We have always worked very closely together over decades, but this was a chance for us to really learn. And I'm very grateful to Don, who suggested that we do sort of a mock trial situation where we were able to look at each other's presentations and really get into those questions that we've always wanted to ask, but maybe had been focused on our own areas. So from that perspective, I would say that it was a really, really helpful and I think healthy exchange of ideas of how we could learn from each other. And we're really excited to keep working in this area. We do budget for a lot of time. And so I think being able to understand what are the different processes that we use, how do we learn from each other and continue to bring that forward, it only has upside for us. And then in terms of the PCEF process, maybe I'll hand it over.
Yeah, and I can add too to Gabe's answer. I totally agree, Gabe. And it really, as we have worked all along, comparing notes and understanding how we're going to be closing the gaps and facing the challenges, it really was, I think, a great learning experience for everyone, from our comms staff to our finance staff to our engagement staff. So we really, I think, cross-pollinated in lots of very productive ways. I will add that it's also challenging because we're so big. The three bureaus are so big, and we have very distinct business lines. And so it isn't like we can jointly do these things. I mean, they're very different services. They have some overlap, but it was clear to me that, and with the color of money and some of the other challenges that each of us face that are very distinct, it isn't like we're ever going to come together and be, one organization. I think there's always a case for us to have separate business lines, but that wherever we can learn from each other and the commitments we have of working in the right of way together and working with community in a productive way, there, I think it can be a great advantage for the residents to see Public Works as one entity and to know where they need to go. So I think that was very, very positive. And then with PCEF, the thing, and I welcome everyone else's opinion on this. I mean, I hate to complain, but it was just very short. It was a very short notice, and so we did our best. And that just and we also weren't really sure. We were navigating new territory, so it was hard to communicate. And in my bureau, everyone was so anxious to know the details about what was happening, and I wasn't really able to share that because I wasn't really sure, where this was going to go. So I think folks are really relieved now to have the information, to have the committee review, and to see the seriousness of this and the importance of this dialogue. I think everyone has kind of straightened up, and again, just really appreciated. We did the best we could with the time we had, and it's resulted in some very productive conversations with community. So thank you for that question. Yeah.
I'll just add a couple of comments regarding the budget. I think one of the things that we came to the conversation with as three organizations that have separate but aligned missions and goals and even visions, that finding efficiencies in the places where people think that it's obvious, oh, you all have engineers and they're all civil engineers and they can all do civil engineering work. That's not necessarily true. There are many, many different subsets of engineers. And so being able to convey that back even and understand that and be able to express that even through this presentation was really important, because while we may adopt each other's practices in terms of, project management office, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't need all of the engineers that we have on staff. All of ours are over committed at this point. And so if anything, we might learn how to do our work more efficiently, more effectively, but efficient doesn't necessarily mean fewer staff. It just means that we are able to deliver our service better. So that's something that we do keep front of mind. Regarding PCEF, yes, I agree. While we had a short window of opportunity, we looked at it as a tremendous opportunity, and I'm appreciative of the number of staff from the PBOT team who had already been engaging with BPS on a regular basis on any number of things for years, frankly, and that there was the acknowledgement that transportation was a significant contributor and thereby a perfect candidate to partner with. And we were able to very quickly identify potential places where the investment could go really far. And I will tell you, when we got news about what was projected, my shoulders went down from here, at least at least a year, because it was just such a level of acknowledgement that there was this ability for us to move together as one city to solve problems, and that in terms of what PBOT does and how it's going to manage and administer those funds, we have the networks in place to be able to do that in support of the goals of PCEF. And so one of the things that was important for us to be able to state is, yes, PCEF is helping to solve a tremendous problem, but the problem would have existed and we would have been doing the work anyway. So this is just the opportunity for us to enhance that work, further that work, and create the opportunities for that real nexus to demonstrate the strength of the relationship and partnership. So.
Well, I just want to thank you for that partnership and heard really positive things about the synergy and good learnings for future conversations. Was there anything that surprised you about working together that you didn't expect or?
They're much cooler than I thought. No, I'm just no, I think we've worked together, and I know Don and I more so than Gabe and I, but we've worked together, and I think again see the broader public works ideal anyway in our work, and so being able to come together around figuring out what we would do as a city and as a subset of the city didn't seem difficult. Now, I'm new to the service area conversation, or newer to it. I know it started before I came back to the city, but I was able to just feather my efforts right in with what was happening because my predecessors had already begun that work. But it's actually quite a pleasure to be able to.
It felt very natural.
Commissioner Rubio, can I jump in on your question?
Sure.
Number one, thank you for the question. And I'll tell you, as a member of the council, when I take a look at the public workspace, this is a real example of where charter reform can make real change. It is so much powerful. It is so powerful, and there's so much synergy by getting these three leaders in the same room on a regular basis, pulling in the same direction. Lots of reasons why it makes sense. If you think about it, most of our assets for these three bureaus all exist in the public right of way. So the fact that you can get all these bureaus together to work together is incredibly powerful. I can't imagine how we did this in the past before we had a single service area. I'll also point out that there are all sorts of synergies and cooperations between the two. I take a look at BES and water. They work together. They have a single billing system. And just yesterday we talked about bringing on AI to make that billing system even better. The mayor's question earlier today about the intergovernmental transfers, the fact that BES contracts with PBOT in order to clean our pipes, that's both good for BES and frankly, it's good for PBOT. There are many, many more advantages that are there too. You also can think about, some of the work that we've done in terms of permitting and just kind of getting everyone who touches the public right of way working and trying to solve the same problem. Just very, very exciting work. I also want to address the PCEF question. I just want to take a moment to recognize and thank you, Commissioner Rubio, and your leadership over at PCEF for creatively looking at this. I'll tell you, I tried to stay out of this space. I realize PCEF is supposed to be independent. I've tried to let it be independent as the PCEF community kind of imagine what their next steps are. Staff work together to figure out how we could all work together as a community to address our climate goals. I'm incredibly proud of the way PBOT, BES, and Water stepped up to that. Your team has been great. Very excited about our opportunity to work together to actually keep our climate clean and healthy, while at the same time promoting equity in our community. So, colleagues, this is one of the days like this is one of the many moments that I experience every day where I'm just really proud to be on this council and working for the city of Portland. We talked about when we came in here, we had deep budget challenges here. There's still going to be some sacrifices, but I'm incredibly impressed with the ways our team stepped up to this. And we could have only done it with the people in our teams and frankly with the cooperation and conversation that I've had with my colleagues on council. I am moved and deeply grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess this question's for PBOT, and when we last looked at parking and had a meaningful discussion on fees. I certainly communicated interest and support for indexing, and to CPI or some other reasonable method. Mechanically, I guess this is much a question for Commissioner
Yeah.
Mapps. What in your mind is necessary to put that in place?
What I'm asking for right now in terms of the parking piece is let's, for reasons which mystify me in the transportation space, we don't automatically account for inflation or whatnot. All I'm asking for in this particular budget is let's take a look at parking, look at our parking fees and index it to inflation. If we do that, we can make important progress. I tell you, moving forward, and I think this is going to be necessary, even if PBOT didn't have a fiscal crisis, but as we just grow more densely as a city, I think we need to take a look at expanding our parking districts. Our team kind of delved into that to some degree. Frankly, it's a more complicated project than what we're going to be able to get done in this calendar year. But whoever sits in these seats a year from now, I expect that's the conversation that we're going to be having. And I would probably defer to our director to see if she has a way to either clean up my answer or add something else.
You all just have to approve the recommendation that we offer in our budget.
Did I answer your? Did I get at your question? I feel like I didn't.
My real point here is I think one of the weaknesses in this history for PBOT is that this is always such a transactional discussion, right? It's this, biannual or annual fight between downtown business owners and PBOT over what's going to cost to park in downtown. And I just, as I said last time, I'll go to the business community to make that argument that you just got to lock this in, that this is part of doing business, and it's go forward. So we're not dealing with these gigantic proposed cuts or increases one year and nothing for 5 years after that. It doesn't make any sense. It's not predictable from a budgeting perspective. So that, I guess, Commissioner Matz, my question is really the longer term. It's almost beyond this budget.
Yeah.
Like, how do we stabilize that as in a rational way? And it's been elusive to date, and I just wish we could. I'm supportive of trying to find a more long-term, even beyond this budget cycle, approach there. Again, it's not going to address all of PBOT's issues. Not even close. But at least I wish we could sort of take this part out of the discussion.
And if I may, and then I'll let the people actually know what they're talking about. I totally know what you're talking about. I completely agree. The two most important steps, in my view, that we need to take in this space is, number one, to index the cost of parking to inflation. The fact that we don't do that means every couple of years we have to jump in and try to catch up, and then it's politically challenging and whatnot. And the other thing that we need to do, and I can do the inflation thing this year. The other more challenging thing that we need to do is to add more parking districts in the city where you have to pay for parking. It's just going to become necessary as we become more dense. I suspect in everyone's neighborhood, the dynamics of parking have changed dramatically in the last 5 years or so. I see it. It's just going to be really. It's bad for everybody. If you are a little small business who are trying to sell flowers or fresh bread or whatnot, and people can't pull up near your store to facilitate that, we're really killing business by not addressing this. The odds are someone in this room or some of the people in the room today are going to be in the room a year from now. I sure hope that that's one of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, if there's things we can put in place this year that puts PBOT on a long-term, more stable path there, I'm happy to partner on it.
Thank you.
And I really would like to put that at the top of the list of things we can leave. In the next council, if they think we did it wrong, they can always change what we did, but at least try and put it on a more stable, long-term path. I say that without any means attempting to undermine what the mayor's articulated as a real concern. I mean, we are dealing with a lot of new fees and taxes for our taxpayers. I'm not discounting the real impact on this, but parking has just always been one that we just keep digging this hole, and we can't get out of it if we don't, get on an indexing pathway. I guess that's my point there.
Commissioner, I couldn't agree with you more, but I might offer the director an opportunity to jump in here.
Again, it's something that we can propose, but it is something that this council and the budget office would need to move forward with, identifying as something that will be written into policy for the city. That's PBOT's recommendation. In terms of the relationships that we'll need to make sure we're managing with those who are most affected by a potential parking increase, that is a very real thing. But we have the data that demonstrates the appetite for parking increases and for parking use. We've done some study there, and we also know that even at the end of the 5 years with the inflationary increase, the parking rate is still quite low. It would be about $2.60 an hour at a meter, which is about 50% less than most major cities per hour if you're parking at a meter. So not necessarily to compare ourselves to other large cities, but that is a point of information that we consider as we think about how parking policy and paying for parking and what parking can cause and provide, that we do pay attention to. So again, we will have to have the conversations in as much as we would ask that council have those as well. But it would be a very important and less than painful pinch point for people than I believe is anticipated or expected. In fact, what we learned is that most people don't know how much they pay for parking unless they're in a parking garage that posts it as they're driving in.
Yeah, and look, and I don't want to minimize what downtown vendors are going through. Downtown retailers, it's a brutal environment right now. So it's a sensitive conversation. But again, the goal is longer term. Let's get out of just the transaction for this particular year.
Absolutely. And there are a number of things that we've engaged in, even in the past 6 months, to provide some level of relief for downtown vendors, free parking weekends. The parking garages are $5 a day. Any number of ways that we can keep the costs down and keep activity up is what we're working to do. We recognize that that is a challenge. And we do entertain the proposals that people come to us with. So during the holidays, we made that sacrifice in support of the business community's needs. And while it did come at a cost to us, we recognized that we, as the transportation entity, do have to contribute to the overall livability and attractability of the city, and especially the downtown core. And so felt that that was our reasonable sacrifice to ensure that that's happening. So we'll have to have the conversations as well. We've already begun to have them. And we don't see parking increases as the silver bullet, to your point. But it is one of the many pieces of this very intricate puzzle and pie that we hope to be able to use, not as a stick over folks' head, but as a way to manage the system and ensure that the system works in support of the city's needs and goals.
Thank you.
Could I jump in on this conversation? Because it's a really good one. And I agree with what Commissioner Gonzalez said. It seems like we're constantly having this conversation on the margin about parking meters. I'm less concerned about parking meters than I am the cost of housing. And I want to gently disagree with the pub members that when you consider the cost of housing in this community, the cost of living here, I would argue that broader taxes and broader fees that are paid by people for the privilege of living in this community and operating in this community, at the household level, people definitely take that into account. And we can agree to disagree. But the reality is Portland is becoming a very expensive place to live. And it's not just because of property taxes. It has to do with and we know this because we've measured it. It has to do with taxes, has to do with fees, it has to do with the cost of rent, it has to do with the cost of housing. And all of those things are contributing to the reality that people on the margins are realizing they can no longer afford to live in this community. And I take that very seriously.
Absolutely.
And so I just have that gentle disagreement with our citizen volunteers. The second thing is we're having the wrong conversation. Like so many of the other areas that we're studying, whether it's public safety or whether it's the housing question, we're the homeless question or anything else, the drug addiction question, because we are a municipal government, we are at the tail end of the food chain. We're picking up the mess. But solving the problem requires us to think completely different. One of the core problems and the reason we have this structural deficit that is growing in our transportation system is we're still funding it with the wrong mechanism.
Absolutely.
We are, I'll call it the dinosaur tax, is what we are using to fund our transportation system.
agree.
And we know it doesn't work. And we know that as the years tick by, it's going to get more problematic rather than less.
Absolutely.
And I know Commissioner Mapps has had this issue, front and center. And frankly, I've learned a lot listening to him talk about it in these sessions. But maybe one area where the pub and us could work together productively is to begin, if they haven't already, that community convening and conversation about how do people want this city to function going forward? And in 25 years, what do we want it to look like? And how are we going to pay for it all? And it won't be the gas tax. I know that now, not even being an expert on it. It can't be the gas tax.
Well,
Number two, I'm on a rant.
I got it. I'll just take it
You
up.
know me when I
Yep.
go on a rant. Number two, part of the reason that we're picking up the mess here is because the transit system is inadequate. And the reality is the cost of driving here is very high. And we had a conversation in a different context recently around compliance with registration fees.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who are driving in the city, and I do not mean this as an insult in any way, shape, or form, but people who are driving who can't afford to drive. And they're driving even though they can't afford to drive because the public transit system is inadequate to the needs of people who in other cities have access to far more robust transportation, public transportation systems. And again, I sort of asked the question, rather than cobbling together something at the last minute, where do we want to be from a public transit perspective 25 years from now? And I'm no longer on JPAC, sorry, Commissioner.
You're always welcome to come and visit.
I know you
Room for
really
more.
appreciate those meetings probably as much as I did, but I hope that's the conversation that's really happening at the regional level is where, how do we take the pressure off of parking meters, take the pressure off of
Gas
parking
tax.
districts? And by the way, I agree with you on that's controversial, but I'll just tell you, I stand there right with you. I've lived in other cities that have parking districts, and people realize that you got to pay for the infrastructure where you park your car. It's just, it's a hassle. It costs something, but yeah, it helps pay the bills for the infrastructure. So I hope that, as we go through, here we are up against a really tough budget, and we heard a couple of recommendations about where else we could cut. The bottom line is we're cutting everywhere in this budget cycle. We have a complete mismatch between the economy and what the demands on municipal services are right now, because people are homeless in record numbers. They're addicted to drugs in record numbers. We have a gun violence problem in this community. So no, I won't be significantly cutting the police budget. I think it's critically important that we continue to maintain public safety in a community where people are screaming at us about high crime rates. By the way, they're going down, I'm happy to say. We're seeing improvements. And then livability. People don't want to live in a city where there's trash and graffiti all over the place. And all of these things collectively have added not tens of millions, but hundreds of millions of dollars to the cost of this city's operating budget just in the last few years. And on top of it, the voters, through their wisdom, decided we need two parallel governments this year. We need the commission form of government, and we need to stand up and operate a first of its kind city administrator, city council form of government that we will also have fully operational sometime later this year. And that also has a huge price tag associated with it. So I just hope I won't be in this chair next year. Somebody else will, and probably there's a lot of people cheering about that. But the conversation will be exactly the same until we really address the question of what is the revenue source? What does public transit look like? And do we acknowledge that it costs too damn much for too many working class people to live in this city? And what are we going to do about it? Those are sort of the way I'm framing this conversation.
So not sure if that was a rhetorical rant.
It was a rhetorical
or-
rant. Yeah,
Okay.
it was just me doing
Because
what
I can address a couple of the
I
things
cut
that
back
you.
on caffeine. It's had
Well, I
disasters
didn't know what you were
past.
swishing around in the cup, but I can address a couple of the things that you spoke to. Not the latter of the points, but I did want to speak to the fact that the Budget Advisory Committee, so Mariah is the chair of that. She came and spoke today. I can't speak for what the pub's committee chair spoke to, but I can share that the Budget Advisory Committee, and actually all of the advisory committees that work with the Transportation Bureau, are working and talking actively about how we can transition our budget away from a dependency on fossil fuels or folks using a fossil fuel tax or folks using fossil fuel what's the word, generated vehicles. So we know that if we do our jobs well, if we partner with PCEF over the next several years and into perpetuity, that we will put ourselves out of business because, yes, we are funded by gas tax and parking revenues. And so how do we reimagine what the Transportation Bureau is and how it is funded? So those conversations are active, not just locally and amongst our advisory committees, but yes, regionally and statewide and frankly across the country. So
Very glad
there are
to
a
hear.
number of pretty intense and intentional conversations that are happening to ensure that we are thinking creatively about how we can move into a different conversation, one that is more centered on problem solving versus pointing fingers at who's to blame and what didn't happen before, but what are we going to do now? That happened, yes, we know. What are we going to do now, and how are we going to do that, and how can we move to that very quickly? That said, in the interim, there is the challenge that we have, which is to maintain the system that we have. And while I believe over the course of many, many years, PBOT has been quite altruistic, has taken on opportunities to be in service to community without necessarily charging. That's part of what has added to where we find ourselves now. And so we've raised the expectation of people around what PBOT does, and we can either choose to do some things a little differently, which we are working on as well, or answer the call, which is keep doing what you've been doing, and then we have to figure out how to pay for that. So it's a tremendous challenge, and so many of us are very concerned about what each year looks like every year, not just from a financial standpoint, but our ability to acknowledge that the city and that the world is changing quite a bit, and how do we demonstrate leadership in making sure that our city is ready. Having a service area that's working together is one of those ways. That there's so much that we do all the time, every day, that is directly connected and actually quite intentional. That if we do that well, that is a way that we can look differently at the future of all of our organizations, all of our budgets. But to be very sure, we are very intentional about having those conversations. Regarding robust transit, streetcar is PBOT's contribution to transit, which we're thankful for the contribution from PCEF to pay for streetcars. It's completely carbon neutral, so that is a great way to get people around. And we have found that since the pandemic, as people have begun to move about the city on a more regular basis, that both of the lines are operating quite well. We have greater success on the west side than we do on the east side of the river, but in both instances, the operations are going well, and we continue to partner with TriMet. You'll see in certain parts of town, rose lanes, signal priority, a lot of things that are happening to ensure that not just is there access to, but the dependability necessary to encourage people to choose transit as an option. I think for those of us who have lived in other cities and used transit as their primary mode of transportation, you used it because it was easy, it was affordable, it was effective, you knew that you were going to get to your destination on time.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm very glad you're here.
Oh, thank you,
I
Mayor.
just want to say that. I don't say that often. And I should know the answer to this. I'm sorry, I just don't remember. Is Sunday Parkways in your portfolio?
It is.
And where, did I miss something?
No.
Tell me what the
PCEF is
plan
helping us to save Sunday parkways. When we talk about active
Can we
transportation.
go back to having more of them, or where are we?
We can, and that can come from the reinvestment of that $7.4 million.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's one of the places where
All
we.
right, I sort of, and it was fun to see you out there, but I sort of missed the, it was a big community gathering.
We want to have more. We
Good
want to have them
configuration.
in several places where we've not had them traditionally. What I've learned, and I've been out in community quite a bit since I've been in this role, is there are a lot of people that, while it is a favored activity, and I saw at least 3 of you at that at Sunday Parkways in Southwest, a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people don't know the benefits of it. And so I was at a school talking about, would you ride your bike to school? And first I asked the question, do you have a bike? And I was pleasantly surprised by the number of students who raised their hands. It was a fairly diverse school, and they said, yeah, I have a bike. Would you ride your bike to school? Absolutely not. Why? Because I don't feel safe. Why don't you feel safe? Because either the infrastructure or the way that people drive, I don't feel comfortable getting on the roadways that would lead me to my school. Have you heard about Sunday Parkways? Don't know what that is. So we have our work to do to make sure that all communities have the opportunity to understand and enjoy why we're doing Sunday Parkways. It's an opportunity for us to educate on the ways that the community is changing in response to the growth that we have in the city of Portland. I've told people, I know your street looks different today than it did yesterday. And it looks even more different than it did today than it did 30 years ago. We have housing infill. We have all these different uses of the right-of-way that weren't in place before. And so we have to do something in response to what that growth means and how it's going to allow us to move into the future. So those are conversations that are pretty active all day, every day, and some of them are easier to have than others, and some are kinder to me in emails than others. But we are here for the challenge. The team is ready to move us forward. It's just being able to have the wind beneath our wings to continue in the conversations. And so the presentation that we shared today shows us how this council can support us, the city can support us, but how, if we are allowed, we can do a lot of the things ourselves that we perhaps have had our hands tied around doing. We talked briefly last week, I don't know what day it is anymore,
They'll
but
blend
when we
together.
talked about people's compliance with registration, with paying for parking at the meters. For a period of time when we were going through the pandemic, we were asked not to enforce in those spaces and ways to be supportive of community. That is, again, another way that we have found that altruism, while good at the time, perhaps created a response in community that is misaligned with the expectations around everyone's social contract. So.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner Gonzalez, then Commissioner Maps.
When I'm doing a time check, so how much longer are we? Do we have any other presentations, or what's the?
Here's my vision for how this ends. Once council answers its questions, I noticed that we have Kevin, who's one of our community-based budget advisors online. I'd like to check in with Kevin and any other budget advisory committee members who happen to be listening in. And then I'm hoping to do about maybe a 5-minute summary. So I'm hoping we can get out of here by 4, in other words.
By 4? So I guess my next questions for the other 2 bureaus. In terms of both transition cost and PCEF funds, maybe I'll start with PCEF. We have different colors of PCEF money as well, right? There's what was under the climate plan, what was previously approved by council. How are PCEF funds going to be reflected in the budget from your vantage point? Will they show up as ongoing? Will they be one time? What is and that's kind of the first part of the question. The second is, from your vantage point, which of the funds were you expecting that you're sure you're getting, that you're not sure you're getting? Because this was, to your point, this was a large sum of money that came through very quickly, and it's as a commissioner, it's been hard to follow what different bureaus think they're getting, what they're actually getting, and how that's going to be reflected going forward from a budget perspective.
Do you want me to answer first? So for BES, we submitted, I believe, $21.5 million in requests, and we got the 15.5. So not everything we requested was funded. And for me, the big bright line was existing programming versus proposed and capital projects. So anything that we hadn't already started and we're not already doing was taken off the table immediately. We took line items from our budget for existing programs, and so that money, as my understanding, will come over as an interagency, and it will be loaded in our budget. And I'm assuming 5 years. I'm assuming that it's that's it. And although we don't know that, we don't know obviously where the program is going, but we're assuming 5 years. And I'm hoping, although we have to have a conversation with the community, that work is housed in city government in a place that it can grow and can expand and be a part of the climate agenda for the city and the recovery agenda for the city. So BES is always going to have an interest and an investment in natural resource service delivery. Our stormwater takes us into that space, and the PCEF money is basically a bridge until we can sort out how we're going to organize the natural resource service deliveries.
And so based on that, the assumption is at some point we would have to find another revenue source to support those programs on an ongoing basis or beyond the 5 years?
Well, I think that BES has grown some of that work maybe beyond our most essential services or services that belong to the utility. I think BES has covered some of the costs that move into more of a city space versus the utility space. And so it's all related to water quality and our regulations, but we work with partners, and there's work that takes us into other areas of the city that I think, like, I use the PBOT interagency as an example, where we have to be really clear about the services that we're getting for the utility and that we pay for that service. And so I'm anticipating that BES will continue to contribute to that space even after the PCEF money is gone, but maybe in a different configuration and different amounts.
Okay.
And water story is a little bit different in that most of the proposed allocations from PCEF for water are one-time energy efficiency upgrades or changes that we would make. And so those will be done with the funding. So they're not something that would continue or that we would need to fund on an ongoing basis.
Okay.
Whereas on the hydroelectric power side, that is a general fund offset, and that will, again, go to the relicensing process as we go through there to sort of balance out the general fund contribution and the water fund contribution.
And then, so that would, for hydro, that would essentially be ongoing equivalent.
Yeah, and
Okay.
as Don said, for that.
Okay. And is there a 15-second version of that for PBOT? Kind of the same question. How is PCEF money going to be reflected in this next budget, ongoing versus one time, or how's, yeah.
Can I interrupt you for just
yeah.
a minute? And just one thing I forgot to mention is that one part of the money that we received was for the BES tree program, and we're planning on sunsetting that program, so there will not be a need for that. So that's work on private property, and we already have a plan for how we will transition that in. So that is one portion of the money where the program won't continue.
Got it.
And so for PBOT, with the exception of the $30 million for streetcar, which is a one-time investment, the rest is ongoing through the 5 years.
And the 30 million streetcar, we'd have to go fill that again next year, or what's?
No,
Okay.
it's a one-time investment. We will begin the process of purchasing the cars.
I got it. So it's a
Takes
true
several
one. Got it. Last question, then I'll turn it back over. So on transition cost, I mean, that was highlighted as a budget uncertainty. That's true for many bureaus. There might be some, is there unique dimensions to you all, though, given that you have rate-making capability? I was just trying to calibrate transition cost uncertainty, and does it play differently in your service area than it does in others, or not?
I don't know that there's a big difference, that everyone is dealing with this. I think for the rate-funded bureaus, what we're dealing with is that we have an amount that we can charge for our rates. Usually that is our forecasted amount. In last year, it was less than our forecast, and in this year, in water's case, it's slightly lower. We have to make that up somehow. So if we have all of those costs that are imposed on us from the charter transition process, we have to make those, we can't raise rates beyond what the council supports. So there is just a interplay there in terms of what do we offset those costs with. I imagine that is very similar for the other service areas.
Got it. Thank you.
And can I just chime in a little bit here too about the PCEF and costing and budgeting? Commissioner Gonzalez, we hear you loud and clear. It's not been super clear. So Donnie's going to be very thorough at our presentation next week, and we'll walk through every step from the CIP to the first tranche of funding in the second. So it'll be very clear about the processes.
Great. Thank you.
Kevin, who's on our City Budget Advisory Committee, has been watching remotely. I just wanted to check in with Kevin. Kevin, do you have any questions or any reflections?
No questions, just lots of reflections. I see that, and I appreciate the hard decisions you guys are having to confront based on, a limited pool of money. And I've been kind of impacted by almost everything from PBOT. I get a call, especially when I'm talking as usual.
Great. Thank you very much. Colleagues, are there any more questions? If they're not, I can try to help. I can kind of try to summarize, and we can maybe end an hour early. I see some, suddenly people perked up. I'm going to go.
Commissioner Mapp's
think
let me just
the
finish
member
this.
wanted to.
And then I'll be quiet. So yeah, so I just appreciate the limited funding and the hard choices that you guys have to make. And I understand, most of the issues, but I'm just trying to make sure I take time to think about them before I provide any input. So thanks again.
Oh, absolutely. And Kevin, as you know, since you're a veteran, we are at the very beginning of a process that's going to last for many months. And we really appreciate you being here. I want to briefly summarize where we are. And actually, going a little bit off of script, I want to pull up a couple of slides. And I think for each bureau, what I'd like to do is revisit the arrow slides that kind of summarizes the choices that we make. And why don't we start with water, BES, and PBOT. Can we pull up the water, this slide? Okay. And so, colleagues, what I'm just going to do right here is to summarize where we're at in this process, what I hope to achieve today, and alert you to some of the things that are coming up. What you heard today is the Infrastructure Bureau's best thinking on how to manage a series of budget deficits coming up. Here we have water, which basically starts this process with a $5 million deficit. Thanks to some PCEF funding, we get it down to about, we slide off about $1 million, but we still have a let's say $4 million hole. The next choice, and this is kind of a political choice that we're going to have to make right now, and frankly, this cuts across all of our bureaus. If you pay a bill or a fee for the city on a credit card, the city eats that fee. I'm going to propose that actually we let customers pay that fee. The other piece that I'm suggesting in the water space basically gets the Water Bureau out of the business of maintaining fountains. I will tell you, water is in the business of fountains because for history, that goes back about 100 years where fountains were largely functioned to serve to water your horse. And therefore, we're still, 125 years later, we're still in this business. We would just rationalize the Water Bureau and the city if we moved us into a different space. But we still end the year with a significant deficit at the end of the day, which we propose to reduce by reducing external services and materials and consolidating space. Why don't we go over to our plans and proposals for BES? In this space, in BES, we start with a $22.5 million hole. heading into the next fiscal year. And to make a long story short, let's say we can partner with PCEF and basically reduce that to about a $2 million hole. And then we propose to basically fill that $2 million hole by doing something which I think is really unwise, but cities do all the time, which is to defer maintenance and cut staff. But that's the best we can do. And actually, I want to congratulate BES. You did a remarkable job in that space. And then let's move over to the PBOT summary slide. We start the fiscal year with a $32.4 million hole. With some PCEF dollars, we can reduce that significantly. One of the things that we can also do to reduce this, and there will be some political blowback here. We haven't really been in the business of actually ticketing people for not registering their cars. We're going to hand out more tickets when you don't plug the meter. That helps us reduce this sum. My staff can't talk about fixing our streets, the gas tax, but I can. We've voted to send that referral to the voters. It's very important that it gets passed. If it doesn't get passed, I'm going to have a significant hole. Then we still have about a $4 million hole that we need to address at the end, which we can kind of address through again, that credit card fee issue, which I talked about before, which we all face to some degree, and returning some of those, allowing the Bureau to hold on to some general fund dollars that we have historically used for lighting. I want to make sure number one, I want to make sure that give you a lot of information today. I wanted to make sure that you understand the proposals and frankly, some of the political choices at the table, and give you a last shot to ask me or my bureau directors any questions. I also would allow my directors to step in and clean up anything that I said wrong there, and I'm sure I said a couple of things wrong. And if there are no further questions from my colleagues or my infrastructure team, I'll hand it back to you, Commissioner, or Mr. Mayor.
Great. Anything else for the good of the record? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. Excellent presentation. Good conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.